Looking at that, Idaye Opi, is there anything that you really don't get? Because if you look at it, it looks like for the very first time we're getting to see governors who speak just the same way as the people. They say it's long overdue, and for Rotimi Amechi, he believes that there are some that have actually made the people to complain because of the attitude of those of them in government.
I agree with him. People in government have not, because as you always say, the fish begins to rot from the head. Leadership has to show the way. Others will follow. Nigerians can be good followers when the leadership is right, but you cannot divorce the direction you're taking from the leadership. So we have bad leadership, bad governance in Nigeria. But you see, the kind of amendments we're talking about is where you have professionals like the journalists, you have the lawyers, you have the MBA. They also will send their own delegates. We sit down, let's talk. For instance, you want to do fiscal federalism. National Assembly cannot do it. They cannot tell the whole Nigerians that, look, we want to give back what we share every month to the people that own. This is a decision that people must take on a different forum. They take it collectively with all the other segments of the country and professional groups. But we need to sit down. We're saying the same thing, but the only problem we have is that some people think the easy way out for the National Assembly. I don't think so. With due respect to the members of the National Assembly, they are qualified to amend the Constitution, yes? We're not talking about amendment here. They were not elected to frame a new Constitution. They've done 2 amendments. Some are so hot that they didn't even touch it. Let's do an on-embrace so that we put this issue of constitutional crisis behind us so that we can move forward. I'm saying that unless this country does fiscal federalism, Nigeria cannot fly. It's as serious as that. No country flies by sharing money every month. You create distortions in the system, you create corruption, you create laziness, you create lack of competition, you kill creativity. How does the country grow?
It is accepted, I mean, from what we have heard, that, that's one area that they definitely will have to touch. But are there other areas that you think that, should also come up for consideration as it currently stands, or you believe that fiscal federalism, if properly addressed, will address every other thing by itself?
There are some other areas, for instance, like the Berger reports. They recommended, just like 2005, a constitutional conference or constitutional report, that you fuse the areas of Chapter 2 in the Constitution with Chapter 4. Chapter 4 talks of fundamental rights. And we've adopted the African Charter 2. Some of the provisions in the African Charter are not in Chapter 2. You can find them they're not in Chapter 4. You can find them in Chapter 2, which is the derivative principles of state policy. They are not enforceable. Now, we can marry those ones, some of them that we can find, because having adopted the African Charter, by Cap 10 of our National Assembly, we've adopted the African Charter as a municipal law. Haven't done that. There are provisions in the African Charter you can find in Chapter 2 on derivative principles. We can marry them with the provisions in Chapter 4 on fundamental rights. So I can have a robust provision on fundamental rights. Certain things that we think are not justiciable because of the African Charter, they are justiciable under Nigerian law.
From your own submissions now, it would seem that everything in the Constitution, even though you say that the opening words of the Constitution is a fraud, is not everything that we should discard. In other words, the framework as has already been provided, and that we should just do a lot of work to improve it.
Let me put it this way.
Is that what you're saying?
Amendments also includes overhauling. I agree. Technically, if you have this paper and you remove, even if you remove almost everything and retain some things, an amendment, we agree. But what we have here, what I'm talking about here, is, if you can call it, you can call it an amendment, but it's an overhaul. And when you do an overhaul, several things will go and some new things. For instance, look at the immunity. There's another good point in this Constitution. It's been battered, it's under attack. I happen to belong to the school of thought that believe that you leave that clause alone.
Tell us why. Why?
Why? Because you'll be punishing the governor. I'll tell you my reason why. The governor is supposed to be a statesman. Forget what we have now. Some people come and desecrate that office. The governor is supposed to be a statesman. And he needs to concentrate 100% when he's on the job, not looking back because people are suing him. But he doesn't get away. The State Assembly or National Assembly acts as its own court. That is where in constitutional law, where the legislature acts as judiciary. When he does something wrong, they constitute a panel for impeachment. And he comes and they act like a court. And no court can overturn their decision. Now, if you ask the governor to be checkmated by that court in the legislature and the regular court, is it a crime to be a governor? It's double jeopardy. It's double jeopardy. You blame the National Assembly and the State Assembly who allowed the governors to get away with a lot of rubbish.
Because
I'm trying to use that word rubbish. Because it is their job.
I'm coming, but that's the issue. Just marry this. We haven't seen any case, in fact, in some...
Thank you. You blame the National Assembly or the State Assemblies who will see the governor do anything and they condone it. You don't touch the immunity clause, no. If the governor will be sued while he's on duty, you're suing him in the normal courts, and then he is also liable to the panel for impeachment. Then where is he going to have the time to do his job? People thought these things are clearly thought out policies, and it pains me when I hear people say remove immunity. No, the people that should hold the governors accountable are not doing their job. Several things are going on. If you take the governor to regular court, you are suing him, you're also calling for impeachment. Can he do his job? He can't.
But isn't it because of how those people themselves emerge? Because what we have noticed is that most times a governor is more comfortable when all the members of his status House of Assembly are members of the same political party. And they always try and make sure that that is always the case. There are very few state assemblies that don't have, that are of the same political party with the governor.
I think it boils down to people not knowing why they are there. For it, look at the National Assembly. The House of Reps is trying to hold the president accountable for budget implementation, whatever you could read as their reasons, notwithstanding. But they're all from the same PDP. Okay? What I'm saying is that some people don't even know why they're the House of. That is why we go back to the issue of fiscal federalism. It will make election and being in government less attractive. So that if you can't stand the heat, don't go near the kitchen. Only those who want to work contest elections, because you're not going to share money. You go, you contest election, there is work and work to be done. You must create wealth. You must harness potentials. You must read. You must study.
That's another very sore point I was about to raise, because, you have talked about people participating, people owning the Constitution. Can we own the Constitution when majority of our people cannot read and write? Are not politically aware, as it were? So that even if we wanted to go through the other means of saying, okay, let's elect a constituent assembly, what do you think will be the participation, considering also even the apathy of the middle class, as it were?
The apathy of the middle class is because of taxation. They are not being held properly to pay their taxes. If not, they will carry this country on their head. If you want to change your tax, assuming that you're paying tax because perhaps the tax channels and your tax is paid taken from your salary. Many middle class business, they don't pay taxes, or they go to tax office and they deduct their office and they change it or change it. If people are made, if there's a proper tax regime,
so which will
the middle class will ask questions.